Happy Monday! How do you know if what you are doing in business is actually good or not? And how do you know how you're doing compared to your competitors? One of the easiest ways to do that is to be looking at benchmarking. And benchmarking is going to be comparing the financial data, and the benchmarking that we're talking about is comparing the financial data from other people in your industry and comparing that to what you are doing. So we are a part of CFMA, which is the Construction Financial Management Association. So we get a lot of our benchmarking data in the construction industry from them. And so I want to talk about some of the findings that we have looked at. Now they break it down by NAICS code, type of industry, amount of revenue, what region you are in. They break it down in a bunch of different ways where you can look at a lot of different factors. So we are going to specifically look at the specialty trade contractors, and we're going to look at less than 25 million in revenue, best in class. So best in class is the top 25 participants in this study, and this study is from 2018. So there are 77 participants in the best in class specialty trade contractors, less than 25 million in revenue. In addition, I'm also going to bring up a couple of statistics for the specialty trade contractors that are 10 million and less. And they're not specifically best in class, but they are 10 million or less in revenue. And there are 158 participants in that study. So when we're looking at specialty trade contractors best in class, the revenue average is around 11 million, just to give you some idea of what we're looking at. And so you can kind of compare it to your own. So I'm going to pick out a couple of indicators that I really like to see and I like to watch and look at and find interesting. So one of the big ones that I like to look at is months in backlog. Backlog is really important, and it's to make sure that you continue to have that steady flow of income, that you continue to have work so that you can keep on your employees and your subs and keep things going smoothly. So the average months in backlog is 4.6 months in this category. And that was the same in best in class and in the overall with 10 million and under. So days in AR is another one that I like to look at. We talk a lot about the construction industry having an average around 60 days. Now, I see a lot of companies that are pushing 90 and plus, but this average on best in class came out at 60.5 days of AR. So right in line with that 60 days, that's how long it takes to collect the accounts receivable. Now get this, the accounts payable, days in accounts payable is 19.7 days. And this is what causes a lot of problems in cash for the construction industry. You are not getting paid for 60 days, but you are paying people in 19 days. You have 41 days in there, no money is coming in, but you are cash flowing those projects. So it's very critical to be watching your cash and making sure that you're keeping those numbers high so that you can afford to continue to do your projects. So, and this is best in class, so it's pretty typical, pretty standard, 60 days in AR and 19.7 days in AP. Now, this is another one I find interesting. It's revenue per full-time employee. And I think too, where some people get into trouble is that they are overstaffed. They're overstaffed in their office, they're overstaffed in the field. So this is a good number to know and to be watching for. So best in class, revenue per full-time employee is $248,448. So per employee, you should have revenue coming in of roughly $250,000 per employee. Now, if you go and look at the under 10 million in specialty trade contractors, Not best in class, it's everybody under 10 million. Their revenue for full-time employees is 186,000. So quite a bit less than the best in class. So best in class is maximizing their employees. The gross profit per full-time employee in best in class is 61,445. The gross profit per full-time employee in 10 million and under is 38,000. So you have like 23 grand that the best in class is making more, making 23,000 more off of each one of their employees. And that's gross profit. So that's a key area to be looking at when you're thinking best in class and comparing your numbers to theirs. So some percentages that best in class had, gross profit percentage was 27.4%. Indirect costs were at 3.1%. And the reason I picked out indirect costs is because I see from time to time some really high indirect cost numbers. And what this is telling me is that you are not job costing enough of your cost out. And instead of job costing correctly, you're throwing it to indirect costs. And this is going to skew your numbers and not give you an accurate picture of what your jobs are really doing. I've talked about this before, and that I'll be talking to someone on the phone and they say, oh, my jobs are really good. We have really high profit margins. I don't have any cash though. I don't know what's the problem. Well, a lot of times it's because they aren't really costing out all of their job costs. They're not taking those to projects. They're throwing them into an indirect cost expense. So indirect costs for best in class is running at 3.1%. Interest expense is at 0.1%. And the reason why I mentioned interest expense is because we talk about in construction, there's a lot of loans. People get a lot of equipment. They have a lot of loans for each of their pieces of equipment. They get loans for their buildings they decide to buy. So keeping the loans down and the interest down is also going to be another key. So net income is 11.6%. So if you're talking about an average revenue number of 11 million, this one was 11,386,000. Their net income was showing at 1.3 million. So specialty contractors 10 million and under is coming in at about 4%. And I'm seeing that pretty often. It's around 3 to 4% in net income. Well, if you want to be best in class, you need to aim for that 11.5 to 12% of net income. Another thing that I look at is under over billings. And best in class, yes, they have under billings of 209,000 roughly, but their over billings are a lot higher. They're exceeding their under billings by 283,000, which is 492. So over billings come in about 492,000, while under billings are at 209. So I hope that gives you some idea of what to strive for. The reason these benchmarkers are important is so that you know what to shoot for, what to strive for. You should be doing them on your own business and looking back historically to see what your numbers are so that you can see that you are constantly improving. And if you aren't constantly improving, figure out which area that you're struggling with, what you can change to get those numbers up. And by having an industry benchmark, you can see what your competitors are doing and everyone else that is out there in the industry. So I hope this is helpful for you. Go back, watch it again, write these numbers down, go through your numbers and compare them. See where you stand and what you should be working on to improve. And if you need any help with that, give us a call, shoot us an email, a text. We'd be happy to help you with this. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday and a good rest of your week. We will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.